I'm Doug Thompson of Stories That Matter. I'm your host, and with me, my special guest today is Robert Paul of Focus on the Family. And Robert, I'm looking at your bio here, and Vice President, National Institute of Marriage Services at Focus on the Family. How long have you been with Focus on the Family?
I've been with Focus on the Family over 6 years.
Okay, and tell me about what your duties are. What do you do?
Well, I have been privileged over the years for now over 21 years to be able to head up a program that we created to help couples who were struggling, really oftentimes in pretty severe crisis, to get help. We have a program called Hope Restored, and it's a crisis counseling program where we work in what we call an intensive format. So couples come for anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 days max, and we lean in with them and we help identify what the issues are that they're struggling with, and an incredible number of them help them resolve those issues and move forward toward a relationship that both blesses them and honors God.
Where do you hold these seminars at, Bob?
Well, we have 3 locations. Our largest location is in Branson, Missouri. We also have a location that we've run where we've used a facility that is owned by Chick-fil-A for, I don't know, maybe 20 years now in Rome, Georgia. And then we also have a facility that we own in Greenville, Michigan.
So when the couples come to you, are they, well, there's a combination, I'm guessing. There's some who have been married short time, long time, and they're coming there to reinforce their commitment to each other. Others are coming there, and I'm guessing they probably set back to back because they're not getting along.
Well, I would say that actually for us, the largest number of people that we deal with are probably in the latter category. They come to us many times as a last resort because it's a big commitment to come and do the kind of work that we do. A lot of times people are kind of nervous about it. So we wish that we had more opportunity to work with people before they were in crisis, but a lot of times they wait till they're at the end. Matter of fact, Doug, I can't tell you how many people we've worked with that show up on a Sunday, which is the day before we would start our large program, which is our group program, and they have divorce papers already drawn, and they're looking for a miracle because they hear miracles happen at our place, and they basically tell us no pressure, but if we don't have a miracle by the end of the day, Thursday, we're signing the papers on Friday.
Yeah, we're going to get divorced. Yeah, I hear you.
That's a normal for us.
Well, I can tell you, Bob, we were talking a little bit before we went on the Zoom program, but I'm an attorney and a judge, and I can tell you from the time this virus has come out, maybe beginning February until we are right now, and we're in September as we film this. That period of time, I bet I've done more divorces than the past 2 years combined. And it is just head shakers, constantly just a head shaker. Really? You guys been married this many years? You got this many kids, and this is what you want to do? And I know that's what you deal with on a regular basis. But I've been an attorney for a long, long time, so I've probably done 6,000 divorces, and I think I've seen everything that can happen in a divorce has happened, everywhere from murder, suicide to every combination thereof from it. And how many people would be attending one of your seminars at one of these 3 events?
Well, we have, at a time, we have a program, our mainstay program is our group program, and we have 5 couples that will come and work with 2 of our therapists. But we also have an individual program where 1 couple will come to work with 2, sometimes 1 of our therapists. And but over the course of our time, we've worked with over 8,000 couples, really representing every state in the United States. And last count, I think it was 30 foreign countries. So they come to us. And the reason they come to us is because, like I said, they hear that miracles happen there. And Doug, there's just one question that we ask Christian couples largely that they must answer yes to for us to be willing to work with them. And this is the question. If God was to work a miracle in your marriage, would you accept it? And we tell them the miracle could be the magnitude of the parting of the Red Sea for all we care. So the basic question is this: as bad as this looks, as hopeless as it seems, if God was to part the sea and basically say, you walk through, and on the other side, I'm going to provide for you a relationship that is beyond anything you've ever experienced, would you accept it? If I part the sea, would you walk through? If they say yes, we don't care how desperate the circumstances are, we say, bring it on, because we serve a God that does miracles. Okay. If they say no, we don't want to waste their time or their money, stay back, because if you're not open to God doing miracles, there's really very little we can do for you.
Yeah, you can probably spot it pretty quickly if people walk in and they got their arms crossed and holding tight to themselves. You got your work cut out for you. But you'll be able to tell as the day goes along. Are they softening up? Do they begin to look at each other, or are they just sitting with that back to back and that growls, that frown that they can have? And you know that you're there to try to help them break the ice, because they're there looking for that miracle, the parting of the Red Sea.
But yeah, and we define a miracle, Doug, as a relationship that both people love and love the direction it's headed. Nothing short of that. We're not in any way interested in helping couples endure misery, for sure, and not even endure mediocrity, because we don't believe that those relationships are relationships that bring glory to God. We let people know that that Christ really is a person that, when we are in relationship with, can make our whole world go better. And that certainly has to apply to our marriages. And we want people by the droves in their marriages to give evidence to that reality about what's possible with Christ. So obviously we care very much about the couple. We care very much about the family, but the work that we do is kingdom work. And we want to help prove to the world who Jesus Christ is and what is possible when you have a relationship with him.
Couldn't agree with you more, Bob. That's the whole key to it. That's the whole key. Do you have some seminars coming up, some family retreats, or I guess couples retreat? Do you have some coming up?
Well, we do those also. The work that we do with the couples that are in crisis is therapy, and we have those going on 50 weeks a year. Actually, we're even the only week we don't see couples is Christmas week generally. But even Thanksgiving week, we'll do individual programs in the 3 days leading up to Thanksgiving. So we have around the clock help for couples in crisis. But we've also learned, because inadvertently we ended up finding that we had a laboratory, like a marriage lab, very unofficial, but we have been studying and learning about God's design for marriage and what works and what doesn't. And this is certainly applying toward couples that are in crisis. But what we realized was that the things that God has been pointing out to us apply every bit as much and every bit as well to couples who aren't in crisis as to those who are. So we've written books, and we've gone ahead and created enrichment events like retreats and conferences that are for couples that aren't necessarily hanging by a thread and in crisis. And those are all going on the weekends. Those are going on simultaneously. So we have retreats at our site in Branson, and then we have conferences that we do at churches all around the country, all with an idea toward helping couples who maybe aren't in crisis but know their marriage could be even better, to get some of these tools that we've learned to be able to apply to their relationship and bring more glory and honor to them as they are blessed.
Yeah, and you mentioned books, Bob. Tell me some of the books that you have either written or co-written.
All right, well, the first book that we wrote quite a few years ago, which was actually a tremendous success, was a book that I got to co-write with Gary Smalley. And it is a book called The DNA of Relationships. And Greg and Gary's son, Greg, and myself co-wrote this book together, and it's done very well for many years. I think it came out in 2003. Then we followed up with a book that kind of gives an inside look into what happens in our intensive therapy. It's called The DNA of Relationships for Couples. And it reads more like a novel. And we've gone ahead and given people a bird's eye look as to what it looks like when you come inside. And it also gives us an opportunity to teach some of the principles. I then wrote a book a couple of years later called Finding Ever After, and just sharing more of what we're learning. And then just this year, just in July, Greg Smalley and I released our latest book, which is the most recent update of all we've been learning, called 9 Lies That Will Destroy Your Marriage. And the subtitle is, And the Truths That Will Save It and Set It Free. And we are very excited to have that out in the marketplace now.
Oh, excellent. I'm assuming that you use those at the seminars, but they're also available online?
Absolutely. You can buy them at focusonthefamily.com. You can certainly buy them on Amazon. They're all available because the point of that really is that we want to get the word into people's hands. We want people to see what's possible, to identify the ways in which they may be following things that they thought were true that may not be, or inadvertently getting in the way of God blessing them. And we want to do everything we can to create an unhindered access to their hearts and to their relationships and to their family, so the Lord can really come in and bless them as he wants to.
And that's awesome, Bob. And so tell us in regards to, because you can have these ideas, but there's training. There's training that goes into it. What's your educational background?
My personal educational background?
Yes.
Well, I got my bachelor's degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in biblical studies and one in psychology from a school here in Missouri called Evangel University. And then I went off and did graduate work down in Georgia. And I went to both Georgia State University, and then I went to another school called Psychological Studies Institute, which is now called Richmond Graduate University, and got my graduate degrees there. And then have just had a tremendous amount of ongoing training in the art and skill of doing good marriage counseling.
And you're a licensed counselor in the state of Missouri.
And in the state of Michigan and in the state of Georgia.
Awesome, awesome. And you and Jenny have been married for how many years?
Well, actually, next month we celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Does she go to some of the retreats with you?
Well, as a matter of fact, nowadays she speaks at them with me, which is phenomenal. And I'll tell you, Doug, that really is a big deal because I'm no stranger to marriage challenges. We both came into the relationship with plenty of baggage. And matter of fact, Jenny led me to the Lord, and I accepted the Lord the day before our wedding. So I was a newbie Christian when I got married. And I created and helped to create and sustain a lot of marriage challenges. It's interesting that God actually led me into marriage work because for so many years our marriage was so difficult. So I know what it's like, and many of the things that we've learned not only have been things that Jenny and I have sorted out to make our marriage better, but things that I've learned from working with couples that God keeps giving me opportunity to apply. So what we teach, one of the principles at Focus on the Family that we adhere to very greatly, is that we don't just teach good theory just because you can derive a principle or an idea, a skill from scripture, even being able to quote chapter and verse, doesn't mean that it's necessarily easily applicable to your relationship. So we are committed that we don't teach something that we can't make work in our own marriages. So every one of my therapists, and we've got over 40 of them now, are committed to living what we teach. Therefore, we can share some of our own examples of where we struggled and how we succeeded.
I think I think that's huge for the people that are attending, because in my own family I would be known as the prodigal son. So plenty of mistakes that were made, and people will listen to me because I can tell them about some of those mistakes. So I'm not just up there talking, here's what you should do, here's what you shouldn't do, here's this and that. I can say, here's what I did. And when the Lord got a hold of me, it all changed. And that was the key to it. And my wife and I are headed up on our, coming up on the 27th anniversary, and it seems like it's gone by just like that. And so I can relate to what you're saying, Bob. I can understand. Are you able to schedule seminars right now, or do you need to wait for the virus to kind of settle down a little?
Well, we're back in business for the couples that are in crisis. We're looking to reinstitute the retreats. We've hesitated just a little bit more on getting those going again. And that this month we should have those back up and running. But yeah, we've been back. Couples are hurting right now with what's going on in the country, with what's going on with COVID. Couples are really struggling, and couples struggle normally. And I don't really feel, Doug, that I need more reasons to improve our business, because there's plenty of people that are hurting. But sadly, right now, what's going on with this pandemic is only making it harder for many, many couples. So yeah, people are needing help, and we want to be available. We've got obviously very distinct new precautions in place to make sure everybody is safe, but we want to make sure couples that need help have a place to go and we can meet them right where they are.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. We're going to put your website information up on the screen, so those who want will be able to take a look at it and be able to order the books that you've written or co-written, and they can keep their eye open for the retreats, and we would encourage them to go to it, even if you don't think you have a need to. You say, oh, I don't, we have just a wonderful marriage. You're just fooling yourself. And the other partner may not agree if asked in a different setting. And so we thank you. We thank you, Bob, for taking the time to visit with us, and we thank you for what you're doing. So I've enjoyed visiting with you. This is Robert Paul. His contact information is on the screen. And if I'm, whether my marriage is rock solid or a little shaky, boy, I'm gonna get the books. I'm going to go to the retreats, and how can you not? Because these are faith-based, Christ-based programs, and that's the answer for everything, everything. Bob, thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you very much, Doug.